today our subject, two subjects I'm going to cover today. So we're going to do some doorway manners and talk about the importance of that, and then do some settle work. Okay, doorway manners is something that I see as incredibly important, and really because of separation issues as well. So there may be many people that you've got baby gates in your house, maybe you leave the puppy in the kitchen and you want to go up and use the shower, and you're leaving them in the full content of, full room of the kitchen. Okay, and puppies can get a little bit anxious unless you've done your background work on separation before you get to that point. Okay, so what we don't want to do is cause anxiety around doorways. So then what the puppy will learn is all of the kind of environmental cues. So as soon as mummy's hand goes on a door, mummy's going to try and get through it, and she's going to try and leave me on the other side, which causes a little bit of panic. And the dog gets used to those kind of signals and will have its nose there waiting to kind of rush through the doorway. Okay, and that's probably, you can cope with that on internal doors, but when it comes to the front door, that can be kind of incredibly dangerous. What you don't want your dog doing is learning those cues that the front door's opening and they whiz out and get past that delivery man and out onto the kind of front driveway where potentially you've got a road outside. So I think it's incredibly important to just get your dog relaxed around doorways, not worrying it's going to be left on its own around doorways, and just having some kind of good patterns of training in place. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that as the first exercise. So let me get some treats for little Max. Put my treat bag on. Hey, you was a good girl. Yes, you are. Let's put your snuffle mat out the way then. Okay, and let me angle the camera around to, this is a door that goes to the outside. Okay, so remember my default behaviour is stand and look at me. So, okay, as soon as she's standing and look at me, I'm going to mark her, and I've put her in a suitable location for the door. Yep. Remember, I want it into a stand, so each time I feed her, even if she sits and looks at me, yep, mark it, feed in the stand. Okay, now I'm going to put my hand on the door handle. Okay, you can't quite see it from there because I've got it on the dog, so hand on the door handle, yep. Okay, for giving me that attention. Okay, more attention, yep. Good girl. Now I'm going to make a little noise, open the door, yep, for looking at me. So that was the key lock going on the door so that she can hear that noise, just means look at mummy. Yep, good. Okay, she was looking at my hand a bit there, so I just waited. Yep. Okay, keep trying to feed her in that stand. I'm going to make the door handle noise, yep. Hopefully you heard that. Open the door. Yep. She looks back at me. I'm going to mark that. Open the door a little bit more. Yep. Good girl. Nice one. Let's pick that one up, darling. Okay, open it a bit more. Yep. Good. Good girl, well done, whoosh, good girl. Okay, and I don't necessarily have to go through the door, okay? I can practice this on internal doors, I'll practice it around different types of doors. So we looked at it with the crate training, I would do it at the back door when they're going out. I want my dogs to kind of stand and kind of look at me the other side of the door, to be invited back in again, and certainly around baby gates and pen doors, all of those doors, just to not get overexcited, just to see it's a calm exercise, so I'm not building in any kind of, it's a real positive kind of emotion or a calm emotion that I'm trying to build into that. Okay, so that is an external door. I will build up to going out of the door. She's in the treat bag, you monster. Okay, let me close that treat bag, you little. Okay, so building up to eventually going out of that door. So if I want to stand at the door, or you could do it with a sit if you prefer a sit, which may be a more stable position and easier for you to train. I will eventually give the dog a release. So I say break, and when the dog moves, Okay, I immediately mark and feed. What I don't want to build up to is saying break and the dog shoots out the doorway. Okay, so by marking that decision to move from the position, whether you've chosen a stand or a sit, what happens is as soon as you say break, the dog moves but engages with you. Okay, and that's really important, not to get those kind of sudden surges. The other side of the door, immediately I'm going to go into just give me some attention and some cue seeking, get some level of engagement from the dog. Okay, now this is particularly important when you're going out on walks, because it's just getting some nice calm emotions going, so that we're not building up this history of, you know, harness goes on, lead goes on, we fly out the door, we're all excited going up the road, therefore we're pulling to the park. Particularly when you're building up to, you know, you walk up the road to the field and then you let your dog off. So high arousal when we're running around and being let off, and that arousal level will build back to the initial pattern. Okay, so you might have some adult dogs you might be aware of, as soon as the lead comes out of the cupboard, you've got kind of, you know, really high arousal in the house and all of that excitement. If you're putting in place some really positive, calm patterns, that will lead later on to better engagement on those initial kind of parts of your walk. Okay, so that was our doorway exercise. We're going to go on to do a little bit of settle work next. Okay, and I do this on various types of material, because I might want the dog to lie on different materials, and this is really important for me to do early on with my puppies, because I use this as a way of doing socialization, and I also want to use it as a training method to promote a little bit more kind of calmness in relaxed areas, say like my lounge. Okay, so I'm going to start it from what's in the bag. Ooh, what have we got? Okay, so I have a little waterproof material here that we're going to pop down, and because it could be a little bit of a tuggy toy, I'm just going to do a treat party. Okay, and just give her something to do while I get my little settle mat out. Yeah, the reasons it's waterproof so that I can take this outside as well. Okay, so I'm going to sit on the floor with the puppy initially, which is what I would do outside with my socialization. Okay, and I'm just going to bring her over. She's never done this before, so we're going to lower her into a down. Okay, now this is a settle. So what I want her to do is come over onto one hip. You've done something really weird with your legs there, baby. That's it. Okay, so I want her over on one hip. And similar to how we kind of fed yesterday, I'm just going to feed between her feet. Now, luckily, we've done a little bit of pre-work on this yesterday, as in we did our kitchen manners, so she should be getting used to remember that from yesterday, doing that feeding in that position. Okay, so I'm quickly going in, placing it on the floor again between her feet. Okay, and just getting her used to when I put a piece of material down, whether that's a vet bed, whether it's this waterproof sheet, or whether it might be a dog bed in the lounge. Okay, so when I'm inviting them into the lounge, I may do a little bit of feeding of their evening meal, okay, which obviously I get through it quite quick at first, but once they're getting the idea, I can start putting longer intervals in. Okay, and just do a little bit longer interval feeding. Good girl. And you can see how she's kind of looking for the treat to appear again. Okay, now over time, as I'm really kind of extending this, I would wait for the dog just to be a little bit more relaxed and not looking. Okay, she did actually look at the spot then where the food was going to be, so I'm just going to wait to see what she does. Okay, there was a little bit of relaxation there, so I'm going to feed that. So ideally, you can see how the tail's wagging now, so it's kind of asking for the food coming. There, she disengaged a little bit, so now I'm going to feed her, because I want to better build this up. The settle is just lie down and relax. So I'm going to pick and choose my feeding times based on what the dog's doing. Okay, there, so a little bit of disengagement from the food and some relaxation. Just going to bring her back into that settle position. And put your bum over, baby. And that's it. Good girl. Okay, so this is different from a down. You'll notice I haven't used the word down at all. And the reason for that is I want settle to be a kind of relaxed down, over on one hip. Okay, you can see that tail wagging. Just wait for her to be calmer. Yeah, try and feed the calm. There we go. She disengaged that time, so that's good. Relaxed her head. I like that. So anything that I'm seeing, so if she relaxes her head again, that would be lovely. Okay, but she's disengaging from the food, so that's good. Yeah, you can see She's beginning to get the idea of that. Asking for the food, you don't get it. When you're not asking for the food, it comes. Yeah, so you can see it's quite relatively kind of quick to train. She heard my treat bag there, so that's kind of increased the arousal and got her a little bit more alert. Here we are, good. Excellent. Good. Nice. Okay, so this may happen that they're going to get up. Okay, so I can just lure her back into that down. Okay, bring the bum over just by moving that head round to the elbow, just to get her to relax on one side. Good girl. Nice, and then try and go back into where I was, whereas if you disengage from the food and you're calm, the food will come. Good, to end the session. Whoosh! Good, treat party. Good, okay, and then I've just done a treat party there, obviously why I fold this up, because like a lot of puppies, she would probably see this as potentially something to play with and would start a tuggy game with it. Okay, so let's pop that away. Excellent. Okay, so 2 exercises we've been through today. Doorway manners, okay, incredibly important. And, you know, making your dog feel comfortable, particularly with internal doors in the house. And also getting into just good patterns, positive patterns of behaviour around front doors and exit doors and gateways. I would extend that also to out on walks around gateways. Okay, making sure you mark that break once you've said break, so the dog, once it's released, engages with you and doesn't fly through doorways. Okay, so nice and calm. Oh, I think Puppy's going to have a little wee. She has decided that Vet Bed is a good puppy pad for her. I was actually waiting one time when she might have a number 2, because this is around her time for a number 2, and you haven't done one this morning, have you, baby? Hey, come on round here, good girl. Mummy put all that food in you. Okay, and then your settle exercise, which I will work at separately in different rooms of the house. Okay, and that the important thing for me to start with when they're young, and the reason I start that early, is that I can go outside and do socialisation that way. Okay, so I could be sat in the middle of a field where there's some kids playing over the far side. I've carried the puppy to the park and I've put them on something, you know, a safe surface where we can sit there and just watch the world go by. Okay, so a great way of doing is socialisation, but also for extending into the lounge of the evening when I want the dogs to come in and be calm. Obviously, I could add, if it was just her dog bed and I did a little bit of feeding, towards the end of that session when they're nice and calm, I could also just add in a chew to that equation. Okay, so I'm getting some good history of the dog being calmer in the lounge. Okay, so my toy play and things like that I don't tend to do in the lounge, just to promote calmness. Right, so that's the end of those 2 exercises. We have an exciting announcement coming tomorrow, so do join in and tune in tomorrow, where we'll be talking about early lead walking, okay, and some different things to consider with your lead walking. So join us tomorrow. Remember the competition. I think I'll announce a little bit more about the competition tomorrow as well. So join us tomorrow, same time, 12:15. Me and Mex will look forward to seeing you then. Okay, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.